My name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology and today all things Sagittarius New Moon 2022 and you, the optimistic, big picture, fresh start that this Sagittarius New Moon is giving us and how you, my love, are going to take advantage of it. We are going to break down this collective energy as well as for you, where it's landing within your chart, representing particular intentions and manifestations that are particularly fertile for your chart. This is such an optimistic, fresh start, especially after all that we've gone through with eclipse season and Scorpio season. This Sagittarius New Moon is like the light at the end of the tunnel. Now that we have gone through so much change, so much transformation, so much has fallen away to really get down to the core, the crux of our worlds and of our transformation at this moment in time, the Sagittarius New Moon is like this whisper around what's possible. And my love, this Sagittarius New Moon is answering to the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter, who stations direct on the same day within its domicile of Pisces. Jupiter is large, right? And I want your dreams to be large. I want you to think big, dream big, manifest big. This is a larger than life new moon that I really want you to take advantage of, because may I just mention, we deserve it. We deserve this fresh new start after all of the eclipses, after all of these lunations we've been having that are squaring Saturn and squaring Uranus. This one is positive can do. Is it a little delusional? It is. We'll break it down. You fear not. But nonetheless, what a powerful, potent opportunity to dream. Set off our rockets of desire to dream big, think big, and truly expect the best. So I'll be breaking this down collectively, sign by sign, letting you know how you can find where this new moon lands within your chart, letting you know my recommendations as an astrologer for your Sagittarius new moon ritual and celebration. So without further ado, let's start with Sagittarius new moon collective themes and opportunities. So my love, the Sagittarius new moon lands November 23rd. It exacts at 2:57 p.m. PDT at 1 degree Sagittarius. And you'll want to see where 1 degree Sag falls within your chart. I'll break that down in a moment in a house by house analysis. But I firstly want to get you familiar and acquainted with the energy of this lunation, okay? So this lunation falls in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is considered one of the most optimistic, big picture signs of the zodiac. It is all about adventure and expansion and exploration. And it is not a coincidence that Sagittarius falls after Scorpio. Like after we go through the depths of transformation, there's almost this energy of rebirth. Because when we talk about Sagittarius and we talk about optimism, it's not like positive Pollyanna, let's just gloss over all of the atrocities in this world and just focus on the good. No, Sagittarius is the truth seeker, right? And it's devoted to finding the good because it understands the extent of the bad. It's a sort of energy where after a transformation, after all of the Scorpio energy, it's this energy where we need to go find a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning that anchors us through any time of turmoil and chaos, right? Such is the nature of Sagittarius. It is described with an archer, right? With an arrow pointed at the truth. And hence why Sagittarius energy is associated with this quest to find meaning, right? And that's why the archetype of Sagittarius is associated with the professor, the teacher, the adventurer, the philosopher. It's all about how it is that we find meaning, how it is that we attune to our big picture beliefs or vision or connection. But the modality differs, which is why you'll find some Sagittarians who want to adventure by backpacking through Europe, and some Sagittarians want to adventure by making their way through a paperback, right? Really, to the crux of Sagittarius, it's looking for the sense of meaning, right? Looking for the sense of adventure. And this new moon is granting you this new start as it relates to meaning and adventure. Now, I'm a traditionally trained astrologer, so degree theory is more of a modern practice, but sometimes I just love to factor it in. And this Sagittarius new moon does land at an Aries degree. It's 1, and it really speaks to initiation, fresh starts. Now that we have gone through the turmoil and the chaos and the intensity of eclipse season, it's this energy around, like once it's this energy around, now that that has all fallen away, now that I have released everything that was no longer serving me, I have this blank slate. I have this new start. It's like this sort of energy where, we grieved what was leaving during Scorpio eclipse season, and now we have this clearance to set our sights on what could be, what we're inviting into our world. It's like the energy after a breakup, and obviously you're grieving that relationship, but you also recognize how much more space your life has, and you're looking forward to the adventure that being single brings. Or you can liken it to the energy when you're, leaving a job to go off and do your own thing. It's like, obviously there's going to be a mix of feelings. You're grieving what was, but the Sagittarius new moon is asking you, anchor in what could be. So you'll want to look at where it's landing within your chart, but know the overall archetype of Sagittarius speaks to expecting good things, speaks to optimism, it speaks to big picture, and this lunation has some helping hands in this fresh start, in this adventure. It is trining Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a deeply important planet for this lunation because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so this lunation is answering to Jupiter. Jupiter is comfy, cozy, and it's domicile of Pisces, so it's operating quite well, and it's also trining this lunation. And as I highlighted about Jupiter in the intro, it's big, it's large, it's making us feel like anything is possible because, my love, it is. Like, Sagittarius is a very lucky energy, and sometimes I think that their luck is really just a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a sort of luck that comes from expecting good things and then finding them. So like, I really, during this lunation, I want you to dream big. I want you to get over anything around, oh, is that unrealistic? My love, this new moon is about being delusional, okay? I want you to put energy towards those dreams that are so big that you question if you're even worthy of them, my love. Like, those desires and dreams picked you. And this is a lunation that really just asks us to dream out what is possible and what it would look like to look at our life through the lens around what if the absolute best case scenario unfolded. What if I was Midas? What would I touch within my world? What would I dream of? And I do want to highlight, if we look at the ruler of this lunation, it's fascinating. It stations direct shortly after the new moon. So it's like this clearance, this forward momentum is building if we dare to dream of it, okay? Because this new moon, I'll just say it is delusional, but it's a sort of delusional where everything works out. Do you have a friend like that? Like a friend where it's like, they're always running late, but somehow it always works out. Like the classes that they're running late for, the professor was also running late, or they didn't get, a dress for the ball in time, but they randomly walk into a thrift store and find the perfect one. It's because they expect good things. They expect everything to work out. They don't even let themselves entertain the thought around, what if the store is closed? What if I don't find a dress? They're just like, it'll work out. And somehow it does. Like, that's what this new moon, that's the energy it's giving, because it is delusional. The ruler of this lunation, Jupiter, as I highlighted, stations direct, so it's forward momentum, but it's conjoined with Neptune, okay? So it's like, it's a little delusional, but it's a sort of delusion where it can work out for us. If you are someone who suffers with imposter syndrome or constant self-doubt or constant self-criticism, this is the new start you need to start believing in yourself and start expecting big, exciting things to happen to you. If you're already someone who might have delusions of grandeur, my love, this new moon might, fill you up with hot air a little bit. But I will say, if you've been struggling with courage, this is the new moon where it's like, I'm just going to shoot my shot. I'm just going to dream big. I'm going to act like these ideas, these desires were handpicked and chosen for me because I have the capacity to fulfill them because they were, okay? I really want you to sit with the dreams that scare you a little bit because this lunation also sextiles Pluto. And Pluto is about power, right? It's about going into the depths of our reserves and also conquering our fears and expecting good things. Like when you are going to face a fear, like you really can't entertain those thoughts around, what if they say no? Like you need to go into that acting like the very best thing is going to work out. I just want to tell a quick anecdote because I feel like it really summarizes the Sagittarius new moon delusion, but somehow it working out energy very well. So when I was in New York, I was with my dear friend and it was New York Fashion Week and we didn't know it was going to be New York Fashion Week. We just happened to be there at the same time. And we were walking through the streets of the Meatpacking District and we look into this place and it looked like an art museum and the music was blasting and there was a cool fashion show. And I said to my friend, I was like, B, I really want to go there. And we saw this guy and he looked really intimidating and he had a little list and he was turning away these girls and there was a big line. I don't know what got over me. Guys, this is not me. I'm very shy. I'm very introverted. But New York overtook me. I was like, I'll never be here again, whatever. So I went up to the bouncer, like strode up with all the confidence in the world. And I was like, we're with, and then I just said a random last name, literally out of nowhere. I just picked a random fashion designer and I just said it. Like, I don't even think it was this fashion designer saying, I just said, oh, the only designer I knew off the top of my head. I was like, we're with blank, just their last name. So it was still a little mysterious. And he looked at his clipboard, like looked like he was checking, and then he like moved the little velvet rope and was like, go ahead. I was shook. I was so shook. My friend and I went in, it was like open bar, really cool music, such cool fashion. I had to stride up and I couldn't be nervous. I couldn't be like, like I literally just had to act as if, like I literally had to just assume I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get in, I'm just gonna say this name with all the confidence in the world. And that's like what this new moon is asking you to do. It's asking you to like look at your world and just assume that your desires are on the way. Just have that almost delusional confidence, honestly, because if we look deeper to the ruler of this lunation, Jupiter, it's also squaring Mars. So it's like really filling us up with hot air that we can, you know, do it all. And like weirdly with this new moon, it just feels like the energy where for some reason, the bouncer is going to look at the clipboard and be like, go ahead. For some reason, you pitching your story idea to that big time editor, they could be like, wow, the gall of this never published before writer to reach out directly to me. I kind of like it. I'm going to go ahead and sign them. Like the sort of delusion where things somehow work out is the vibe with this new moon. So what I want you to do is that I really want you to look at where this new moon is concentrated. I'll get into that in a moment and really just think, what would it look like if I followed my most courageous dreams in this energy, in this area of my life? What would it look like if I was absolutely delusional, right? Like what would it look like if I only expected the absolute best from this? Like I didn't even entertain thoughts of the worst of this life arena. How would I show up? What would I dream of? Like if a genie came to me and said, you could have anything in this life arena, what would I dream of? And like I said, this lunation's gathered with Neptune. Not all of them are going to come true, but a couple of them are going to take root. And I want you to have the courage to dream of those desires that almost embarrass you because they feel so ridiculous and they feel so unrealistic. I want your intentions to be unrealistic at this time. I want them to be delusional. If you look at them and you're like, this is absolutely a normal thing for a person to want. I want a new rug and da-da-da. My love, put down an Oscar. Like think big, okay, during this lunation. Not everything will permeate, but at least give yourself the clearance to dream big, because when you entertain those thoughts, when you visualize yourself showing up as that version of yourself, you grant yourself the space to start shifting your identity. When you can see yourself as that version of yourself who has everything that they want, you start to show up in different ways. I was not invited to that fashion party. I'm not into fashion at all. I had no business being there. And I had no business even trying to get in. But for some reason I was like, what if I was someone who went to fashion show parties? How would I walk? How would I talk? What's the worst they could say? They can say no, whatever, I'll just get into another one. Expect the best, okay, my love? Expect the best with this lunation. But let's break down how it encouraged celebrating this optimistic, big picture new start. Okay, my love, so new moons are all about fresh starts, right? And during this new moon, I'll just share a couple of recommendations based on my experience as an astrologer. Of course, always use discernment, do what's best for you, do what grants you a sense of meaning and optimism within your future. These are just some recommendations that I would highlight. So one, with the Sagittarius new moon, this is a fire sign, so I would love for you to do some sort of ritual around fire. Perhaps a candle, a campfire, maybe a fire in your fireplace, and you don't need to burn it. Like when it comes to the difference between new moons and full moons are more more so about illuminations, things coming to the surface and perhaps releasing, which is why we burn things. But I'm more so with this new moon, it's more about blank slate. I just want you to feel the warmth of the fire, feel the boldness of the fire, right? Like I want you to be around that fire and feel the energizing warmth that exudes from it for you to be able to inspire your own intentions. Like fire doesn't ask you, am I burning too bright? Is this too much? It just burns, right? And there's also this boldness about it, right? Like when uncontrolled, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And it's a very warming, motivating influence. And I want you to be by fire to be able to firstly have that warmth, have that courage, be inspired by it, be inspired by how big, it can get. Obviously, be safe if you're doing anything with fire. And I want you to sort of channel that boldness as you begin to envision what could be possible for your world. On the Sagittarius new moon, it would be really aligned if you went for some sort of journey, like you went on an adventure, whether it's like to a mountain town near you or for a hike or doing something different. I want you to invite in novelty in any way that could show up for you. Like I want you to put yourself in the pathway for really interesting, spontaneous things to happen. I want you to get into that zone of anything can happen. Let me play, let me experiment, let me get out of the daily grind just to get myself into a new environment, right? Because when you get into a new environment, it inspires different thoughts, different ways of seeing the world, different ways of viewing yourself, right? Like a lot of us, we can't necessarily board a jet for the Sagittarius new moon. Maybe you can, please do, go somewhere different. But maybe it's even going to a different restaurant, going on a different hike, getting yourself in some new stimuli. Because when you're in new stimuli, when you're in a new environment, you grant some space to be able to invite in the new, particularly when it comes to this lunation. And with most new moons, I recommend writing things down. With this lunation, I do want you to play with co-creatively envisioning, like with the ruler being Pisces. I want you to see it in your head so that you can one day feel it within your hand. And furthermore, rather than just seeing it, I want you to taste it, smell it, activate all of your senses and really put a lot of energy co-creating it, like really seeing the big picture, what it would look like, right? For some of you, putting your vision board as your desktop and your screensaver, like I really want you to play with that dream, play with that vision, and whether you physically do something to kind of anchor it in or see it within your mind, attuning to it as though it was a movie, like seeing that big picture of what it is that you want is very supportive with this lunation. Okay, so you may be asking, Haley, comment, how can I find where 1 degree Sagittarius lands within my chart? Because wherever 1 degree Sagittarius lands within your chart is an area that is prime for you to infuse with this optimistic, big picture, lucky energy, right? The first option, if you use whole sign or you're not interested in finding the nitty gritty about degrees, what I want you to do is look below, find your rising sign, your ascendant, and jump to that timestamp, okay? In order to find your ascendant, you will need time of birth, and you can find that over on astro.com, really Cafe Astrology, Nui app, anywhere where you can plug in your chart, find your ascendant, find the rising sign below, and just jump to it. And when I say ascendant, same thing as rising sign, same thing. So that's option 1. If you use Placidus, I do as well. It is a little bit more tricky because of this house system. It's not as cut and dry like with whole sign. An entire house of your chart will be ruled by just one sign, right? So you'll just have to find the Sagittarius house and you're good to go. With Placidus, you'll most likely have 2 or even 3 signs within one house. So here's what you'll do. Firstly, find your circle chart. Through the visual I'm showing you, it's astro.com. So you'll plug in your birth information and you'll find the circle chart. From there, I want you to look to the outer ring where all of the symbols are. This represents the different signs. I want you to find the red arrow symbol. This designates the Sagittarius portion of your chart. Once you see that on the outer ring, I want you to follow towards the inner ring until you find the numbers, okay? Near the inner circle, I want you to find the numbers. So let's say you see that Sagittarius symbol on the outside is both in the piece of pizza that has the 4 in it, as well as the piece of pizza that has the 5 in it, okay? We have found that Sagittarius rules parts of your 4th house and of your 5th house. So you can either just listen to both readings and see which resonates the most, or we'll want to find 1 degree Sagittarius. So this will occur at the beginning of Sagittarius. So you'll want to go back to that outer ring and find where the sign Sagittarius begins. And this will be the bordering line in between that red arrow symbol and like a blue M with the little M out as like a little tail. That's Scorpio, right? Because Scorpio comes for Sagittarius. So you'll want to find that blue M with a little arrow out. Find where it borders Sagittarius, and you'll know where Scorpio ends and Sagittarius begins. That line right there, that's 0 degrees Sag. So I want you to find around that area, because this lunation's at 1 degree. So right after that border between Scorpio and Sagittarius, that's where 1 degree will be. Follow that portion towards the inner ring where you see the little numbers, and then you'll see, oh, okay, it lands in my 4th house. From there, you'll click on 4th house and jump to there. Let's say when you look at it, you really can't tell. Like it's so close to tell that you can't tell if it's 4th house or 5th house. From there, in Astro, you'll click PDF additional tables. You'll look towards the right-hand side, find that arrow symbol, and notice which house the 5th house starts, right? Because we want to figure out, is it in the 4th house or is it in the 5th house? Would 1 degree Sagittarius fall within the 4th house or the 5th house? And if we see in this little chart, we see that the 5th house begins at 2 degrees Sagittarius. That's after 1 degree. So we know if 5th house begins at 2 degrees Sagittarius, 1 degree Sagittarius must be in the preceding house, the 4th house, oftentimes designated in Astro.com as IC. So within Astro, it'll designate the start to the 4th house as IC, start to the 7th house as DC, start to the 10th house as MC, start to the 1st house as AC. Just a quick heads up. But I want you to find where 1 degree Sagittarius falls within your chart, and from there, jump to that timestamp. And without further ado, let's take it house by house, sign by sign. Let's see what new start is baking in the cosmos for your chart. So my love, if 1 degree Sagittarius falls within the 1st house of your natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Sagittarius rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius to see where your optimistic fresh start is being emboldened within your chart. So my love, this lunation for you is kind of like a free spot. If you play bingo, you know how you get the middle for free? In that, yes, there are areas of your life that are particularly fertile with this lunation based on where it's landing within your chart, but essentially your boundaries are only your imagination around how far you will dare to dream of it. Because 1st house is self, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most desires are stemmed around self. So yes, there is 1st house themes that I will detail you through, but I don't want you to give this lunation the same bounds that I would encourage if it landed in different areas of your chart, because with it landing in the area of self, I want you to consider, who would I be if I showed up for these desires? What would my life look like if I identified in this way? And let your imagination run wild, my love. Other themes that could come to the surface. So 1st house is our physical body. So for some of you, if you've been struggling with your health, this would be a really aligned time to just see yourself in optimal health. And that might even feel like such a distant possibility that you're even like scared to dream of it, right? But I really want you to use this optimistic fresh start of this lunation to dream as big as possible when it comes to your health and your physical body. For some, if you've been trying to gain weight, if you've been trying to lose weight, this is the lunation to really see yourself as that version and really focus around, how is this going to make me feel? Will I feel more adventurous? Will I say yes to more things? Because oftentimes when it comes to like a dream body, you think it's going to feel differently than it does when you arrive there. So I'm not saying it's not right for that, but I also want you to focus on these Sagittarius themes around adventure, around spontaneity. Like less being so focused on the aesthetic of it. Yes, that might make you feel good. I'm not shaming you for having those desires, but I would say it's most magnetic when you focus around how would that feel? What would that make you feel more confident around exploring? How do you want to energetically feel? Like, do you want to wake up every day excited and motivated and energized to start the day? Like, focus upon those feelings, because sometimes we don't have as deep of a connection if we just look at a pair of, six-pack on our vision board, right? So I want you to focus upon that. I also want you to focus upon the identity of your desires, okay? Oftentimes we see ourselves and we limit ourselves by how it is that we see ourselves. Oh, I couldn't make above this amount of money. I'm not the person who shows up in that way. Oh, I've always had a roommate. That's just who I am. Oh, I've always been a nurse practitioner. How could I, daydream about starting my own practice? Oh, I want to be a lawyer, but I work in retail. Like, that's who I am. Oftentimes we limit ourselves because we're like, oh, that's not me. Like, we don't identify with our desires. And I want you to play with, what would it look like if I was a lawyer? What would it look like if I was someone who boldly went after what it was that they want? Maybe I've always identified as a wallflower. And what would it look like if I was confident and I strode up to the people that I wanted to talk to and I was the life of the party? Like, oftentimes we can limit ourselves just by, well, you're not like that. You could never do that. It's like, could I? This is the time to play with possibility around how you can show up and to not limit yourself by just the ways that you've shown up in the past. The ways that you've shown up in the past doesn't dictate all that you can become in the future. So play with, what would it look like if I was a lawyer? What would it look like if I did walk into a party and talk to everybody? What would it look like if I was confident in how I looked? Because outside of just, losing or gaining weight or moving towards our ideal body and optimal health, which is supportive with this lunation, also other shifts around etching out more deeply your personal style, right? Would also be a really powerful first house initiative. Learning how to do makeup, learning how to do your hair. And it's less so about the aesthetic of the matter, but the version of yourself and the confidence you kind of etch out as you devote more energy towards that. Because first house is how it is that we view the world, right? And how the world views us. So yes, people can treat us differently when we dress different or wear our hair differently or anything of that nature, or just put more energy towards it. But it's also around the version of ourselves that we show up as. Will it help you feel more confident? Will it help you start to see yourself as a professional as you walk into your new job and your professional new outfit? Will it allow you to see yourself as a life of the party if you wear the clothes that you've always been too shy to wear? Like, I want you to think beyond just even the aesthetic of the matter and really just staying fixated upon the version of yourself that it would sort of pull out of your soul and pull out of your being, and viewing your world, truly this is mind state, through the lens around good things happen to me. I am the luckiest person on this planet. That was like a TikTok trend. I just feel like it's so supported in the first house. Like, seeing yourself as lucky, seeing yourself as someone where good things just happen to you, okay, would be another really aligned focus to work on this new moon in Sagittarius. Love, if this Sagittarius new moon lands within the second house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Scorpio rising, not always though. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, love, so you have this optimistic big picture start as it relates to your finances, possessions, and self-esteem, okay? And this is really powerful to dream very big when it comes to your finances. What if I could show up? What if I could be a millionaire? Like, play within that realm of possibility around envisioning the absolute best as it relates to your finances. And as I highlighted, this new moon is a bit delusional, right? So for some of you, I mean, a lot of us just collectively at the time with inflation and things of the nature, like, there is a lot of like lack and scarcity. And I'm certainly not saying go into debt, spend all your money with this delusional fresh start. But what I am saying is be delusional around abundance is coming, like wealth is coming. I'm working towards wealth. I'm setting up my life to prepare for wealth. I'm going to share with you a tip. I found it on TikTok. I can't think of the creator off the top of my head, but I remember she said, like, if you knew that you had your dream job coming in 3 months, right? You wouldn't be stressing, running around at this moment, right? Because you know it's on its way. And like, what if we could navigate our lives with that feeling around, oh, it's on its way. I'm trusting. I show up with little nudges. I am someone who is lucky and prosperous. Like, I want you to see yourself as someone who is lucky financially, even if the present moment, you're not seeing that necessarily reflected back to you. I want you to magnetize those moments of abundance, wealth, prosperity, whatever word resonates with you. I want you to observe them and maximize them when you spot them, because it's not just money. I want you to highlight, like if you have afternoon free, highlighting, this is so lovely to just have this abundance of time. If someone pops around and gives you some lemons, feeling really prosperous and abundant, like, I needed lemons and my neighbor gave me some from their garden. Like, I have everything I need. The universe is looking out for me. Or if you get a discount, like money you would have spent, also having that moment of gratitude. Like, a grateful heart is a magnet for blessings. So even if at this present moment in time, you're like, I'm not feeling very abundant, look for those micro ways that affirm to you, I'm so lucky, I'm so prosperous, the universe is looking out for me. And like, also anchoring in, like, if I had this dream job starting in 3 months, I would not be stressing because I know it's coming in, right? And it's hard to get to that element of certainty. And like, for some of us, we still have to be, applying and working. It's not like we can just chill and be like, well, it's on its way. But I want you to feel that energy around good things are coming for me financially. I pay attention to the cues and the opportunities and the intuitive whispers around what could be possible for me. And I have these micro moments, whether it's showing up in discounts, free stuff, gifts, people paying for stuff for you, money showing up, orders coming in. I want you to maximize those moments that affirm to you, I'm wealthy, I am prosperous, everything that I need is coming in. I also want you to identify, what does money represent to you? Does it represent freedom? Does it represent adventure? Like, oftentimes there's not this strong, because when I think of fire, just think of instincts, right? Excitement, courage. And oftentimes if we just think about money just sitting there, there's no energy in that, right? It's just paper. I want you to focus on, what do you feel that money will bring you? Will it bring you more freedom to spend your afternoons as you like? Will it give you the space to be able to travel? I want you to focus more so on what money will bring you and begin to anchor in, I am so prosperous. I want you to reflect on experiences where money brought really great things and it felt very abundant. Like when you went to the mall and you found that shirt that you loved and you wear all of the time and it was half off and you just felt so joyful with that purchase. Really think back to those moments where money brought this element of, maybe it was happiness, maybe it was style, maybe it was luxury, maybe it was freedom, maybe it was excitement. Sagittarius is a sign that was very wealthy and experienced. So I really want you to heighten what it is that you are looking for through enhanced income, and think big. Like, if you were thinking about like setting your business's goals or starting, that podcast, and your dream is around, I just want to make like 5,000 monthly. Like, that is my goal. Like, why not go for 15,000, right? Why not go for 20,000? Like, in any sort of negotiation, never say the first number, right? Because oftentimes it could have been higher and you're lowballing yourself, right? So this energy, be a little delusional. Like, when it comes to your job right now, if you're like sitting at whatever, like 95K, and you're like, okay, market rate for this role would be 115, but I'm just going to say 145. What are they going to say? Lower me down a little bit? Whatever. At least I shot for the stars, right? This energy to dream big, particularly financially. So whatever financial goals you have for your business or your job, add a couple numbers, add a couple zeros, my love. Think bigger for yourself. I also want you to envision new possessions that you want. Maybe that brings energy. Maybe like just think about the money in your account doesn't bring energy to you, but when you dream of that designer bag, you're like, ooh, that would represent luxury to me. That is abundance, right? Like having those possessions that affirm it to you. Not so much about flexing, but like that feel like success to you. And dreaming big, seeing yourself as someone, I could have a designer bag. Like, I could have that couch that's always on Instagram, or that mirror that everybody has on Instagram. And second house is also self-esteem. So my love, some of you have been lowballing yourself deeply. Some of you have been feeling imposter syndrome. Even when it comes to your dreams, like being like, could I be someone who has a designer dress? Could I be someone who earns that much money? You can, okay? Second house is value and self-esteem. So for some of you, this is a new start around boosting your self-esteem and starting to see yourself as that person where great things happen to you and you are worthy of them, right? Like with Sagittarius, it's certainly not a boisterous or a egocentric energy, certainly, but it is this energy around expecting good things. It's very truthful. Like some of you guys have been lowballing yourself and not being very honest about your talents and your abilities. This is a time to hype yourself up, right? Like I was saying with the money thing, also think back on experiences that you've had that really mirrored to you how much value you are putting into this world, right? So this this is a new moon to really boost your financial goals, the possessions that you want, but also beginning to see yourself as someone who is as valuable and as notable as you truly are, my love. If this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Libra rising, but not always though. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. So this new moon is a new start when it comes to inspiring your everyday as it relates to adventure and spontaneity. Because the thing about 3rd house is it's very realistic. It's very practical. It's about our mind and our interests in our neighborhood. And for some of you, this lunation is about finding this sense of wonder and awe and adventure and spontaneity within your everyday environment. Some of you have been like really bored, just like bored with life. And this lunation is like kind of calling for you to find the adventure, like find that sense of wonder, like every day when you wake up, like what will I create today? What will I explore? So for some of you, this new moon is an opportunity to really anchor into finding this sense of curiosity within your everyday, finding this sense around this quest for meaning, understanding that every single person you connect with, whether it's the barista at the coffee shop down the way, the people that you see at the dog park, represents an opportunity to learn, right? Represent someone that you can extract wisdom from. Sometimes it's these little everyday interactions, that person at the dog park who's like, hey, did you know this? Or there's an event happening here. Like, I want you to look and inspire the sense of optimism within your everyday environment. Some of you have been having this grass is greener energy where you're just like in your head feeling like your life will start when this happens or when this happens. And this lunation is like, life starts now. Like the grass is green where you water it, my love. So let's look at our everyday environment and say, okay, I'm bored. How can I inspire more adventure within my everyday? Some of you, this can be a really powerful new moon to really anchor in more truth and honesty into your life. I know this is sort of a delusional new moon, but for some of you, a lot of you guys will be Libra risings, not always though. Make sure to listen to the part of the video where I break down how to find which house this lands in for you. Some of you with Libra risings can be individuals who want to acquiesce and want to be liked and it look like just ferociously speak your truth. Like I was highlighting earlier, with fire, it just burns. It doesn't ask, is this too much? Is my truth too polarizing? Sagittarius is blunt. It's honest. It's fierce, right? It's warming and it's inspirational in that. So for some of you, if you've been masking or muddying your truth, telling people what they want to hear, this new moon is the time to come back to being unapologetic and fiercely yourself, rooting yourself, seeing yourself as the main character, so to speak, being as honest as possible. So for some of you, my writer loves, those of you who have a book in you, okay, I'm talking to you, or those of you who have a podcast in you, or a YouTube channel in you, my love, this is a new moon to plant the seeds of it. If you already have those things in existence, this is the time to think about 10xing, 100xing the reach that it has. Like again, with this new moon, dream big. Think about a number that scares you and then think even bigger when it comes to the subscribers that you want, the listener base that you want. I have had a vision board many, many years ago and it said, I printed out the picture of my YouTube and then I edited over like the amount of subscribers I wanted. And I'm pretty sure I put 2,000. Like at that time that felt out of this world. I think I had 17 or something. So I was like, 2,000, but I would say for you, yes, sometimes it's nice to have little realistic goals, right? But dream bigger, right? Put the number that scares you, whoa, could I really have something valuable enough to say that 200,000 people would want to listen to me? You do, my love. That's why that desire is calling to you. Like I'm telling you, our desires are not random. They are nudges from the universe of certain ideas that want to come through us or certain initiatives that we're born for. And you need to start believing in yourself. This is a new moon to be delusional enough to be like, yeah, people are going to want to listen to what I have to say, or people are going to want to see me live my everyday. This is the new moon to realize that you do have something of value to say. And for some of you, maybe it's not a social media presence. Maybe for some of you, it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's starting to see yourself as someone who could learn Spanish, who could learn French, anchoring down the intention to learn a new language. Maybe for some of you, you've wanted to learn a new skill. could I be someone who knows how to fix cars? Could I be someone who knows how to play the piano? You could, my love. And this is a lunation to see yourself playing the piano, seeing yourself fixing a car. Like, the first step to learning any skill is entertaining the thought, I could learn this. I could be someone who's intelligent enough to get this. Like, enough determination. You can learn anything, my love. And this is a really lucky new start to contemplate, what new skills do I want to learn? What new messages do I want to deliver? What inspiration do I want to source for my immediate backyard? And this energy to plant it. I do want to highlight for some of you who have been manifesting a car or want to manifest a car or anything else that would help you kind of get around short-term transportation. This is also a very supportive lunation to really dream big. What if I could have this kind of car this year, this many miles at this price? Like, I really want you to play within this realm around being delusional, like rolling up to the car dealership and being like, of course it's going to be there because I saw it within my mind. And if it's not here, it's somewhere else. I want you to expect the best when it comes to your car search, bike search, or anything else you want to call in with these third house themes. Last little note, again, this won't apply for every single human, but for some of you, if there's been any sibling issues, extended family issues, this is a really positive lunation to plant the seeds around a really positive outcome there. This Sagittarius new moon lands within the 4th house of your astrological natal chart. You may potentially be a Virgo rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. So you have this fresh chart as it relates to your home, your roots, your ancestry, as well as your emotional state. For some of you, I'm feeling very deeply, because some of you are Virgo risings, even if you're not, this message may apply. I'm feeling that you've sort of been a little, what's the word, bah humbug, a little humdrum, a little negative. And this is a new lunation around planting the seeds, around being very optimistic, like expecting good things as part of your everyday. This is a lunation around planting the seeds around, what if I was a positive person? What if I continually nurtured optimism as part of my being? What if I noticed what it is that makes me happy within this world and gave them to myself regularly? Because when we talk about 4th house, it's also like emotional maintenance, like how it is that we take care of ourselves to our roots, right? Like if you think about the natal chart as a tree, this is the base of the tree. This is the roots that dig deep, right? All of the work that goes into ourselves under the surface that people see, they see our leaves, but they don't understand how deep the roots go, how deep our self-care and our nourishment has to go in order to support that big old tree, right? And this is a sort of energy where it's like, if there are certain things that leads to a higher sense of optimism within your world. So when you start the day meditating, you go about the day much happier. You know that when you believe in something, you operate through your day much happier. If you take that time to do yoga, maybe it's not always easy to get there, but once you're there, you're in a more happy, optimistic mind state. You're able to attune to your bigger sense of meaning, and that contributes to a happier state of being within your soul. Now, 4th house speaks to not only our psychological experience of home, but also our physical home. And so for some of you, if you have not been happy in your living situation, this is a very aligned new start as it relates to your physical abode, okay? So daydreaming, whether it's via vision board or even just like going to houses that are even like way out of your price range. Like I just want you to get in the energy of your dream home, or like where it is that you would want to live, right? Like be delusional. What if you could be someone who lived by the ocean? What if you could be someone who lived by yourself? What if you could afford to buy a house in a couple of years from now? Like this is sort of energy of planting the seeds around being optimistic about your future and what it can entail for you. And if you've been living with roommates or anything of that nature, this is a really supportive new moon around harmonizing any conflict, and also just planting the seeds around how you want your home to feel. Maybe for some of you, you can use this to manifest, that kitchen remodel you've been dreaming of, or to, get the furniture that speaks to this really inspired, lighthearted feeling that you want to have with your home, right? Like I want you to think of your home as a sanctuary, truly, and ask yourself, what would help me? What is a sanctuary that will fill me with the most amount of good feelings? Is it, furniture that actually invites me to sit on it, or like bright colors? Like what makes me feel happy and expansive and free when I'm at home, right? And how can I bring in, whether it's furniture or artwork, that inspires that feeling? For some of you, if you've been trying to move abroad, this is an especially helpful lunation to work with. And this house also speaks to family, both the family that we like grew up with, as well as like generational patterns and things of that nature. And with this Sagittarius new moon, like Sagittarius does speak to this energy of freedom. So if you have been really getting aware around a certain pattern that has continued throughout your family lineage, this can be a very supportive new start around envisioning yourself as free from it, envisioning yourself as the one who disrupts the pattern, who breaks the pattern. For some of you, this can be very supportive as it relates to any sort of family intention, whether you've been trying to have a family, whether you've been trying to reconnect with family. Maybe for some of you, you're craving freedom from family. Maybe you know that it's not a good dynamic to have within your world right now. This is a very aligned new moon to kind of plant the seeds around having freedom from any sort of family drama. But for some of you, it can be planting the seeds around spending more time with your family, things of that nature. So if this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Leo rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. This is such a lovely lunation around reinvigorating, if you've lost it, my love, your lust for life. Okay, getting inspired, having fun within your world again. Not everybody, but a lot of people who have this are Leo risings, which is a sign that's been going through the ringer this year, just with all the eclipses in your modality, Saturn in your modality, Uranus in this modality, and this new moon is the energy around, okay, things have been way too serious. I'm ready to have a little fun. That's what this lunation is about. It's about planting the seeds around inviting more play within your day-to-day. So inviting moments of spontaneity and adventure within your day-to-day, not getting so serious. Like a lot of you guys, perhaps if you have Saturn in the 7th house, have been having to get very, very serious about your everyday. And this is energy around, why so serious? I'm ready to have a little fun and be spontaneous and be open to life and what it can bring. Because 5th house is our inner child. So it's really this fresh start as it relates to nurturing our inner child, right? Nurturing the part of ourselves that contains that sense of wonder and awe and excitement at life and what life can entail, right? And on the note of inner child, it's also inspiring these feelings around creating for no reason, right? Like 5th house is the house of birth. We'll chat about that in a moment more deeply, but I want you to think of just birthing new things into the world, like having a creative spark, right? And not everything that you write needs to be Pulitzer Prize winning. Not everything that you paint needs to be up in a museum. There's still value in creating just as an expression or as a love letter to life itself. There's still value in putting things out there, putting your essence out there, invigorating your own self-expression. That's what this lunation is all about. And with the energy in Sagittarius, allowing it to be fierce, allowing it to be polarizing, right? Sagittarius is a very honest, blunt energy. And as I highlighted, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Like fire is bold. You know, not everybody likes it. Sometimes it could be too hot. And I also want you to inspire that within your art. So if you are someone who identifies as a creative, this is a lunation that's asking you, where are you playing it too safe? And also with your dreams, like why are you just dreaming about being like at the open mic night? Like when you're manifesting for this, seeing yourself performing at the VMAs or whatever your dreams entail. Definitely planting the seeds as it relates to your creativity. So maybe it's having more time to dedicate to your creativity. Maybe it's seeing yourself being very respected for your creativity. Maybe for some of you, it's not so much like, oh, I want to write as a career, but it's like, I want to write for my soul. It helps me feel more optimistic about my world. My love, this lunation is for you. Now, as I highlighted, 5th house is birth. So for some of you, if you've been having any fertility struggles or if you've just been wanting to conceive, very aligned lunation to put some energy towards that. As well as 5th house speaks to our children. So for some of you, it can be, planting the seed around spending more time with your children, maybe going on a trip with your children. Sagittarius is the traveler, or maybe harmonizing things with your children, being more honest with your children. Essentially, what it is that you want to encourage with your children, things of that nature. Now, I do want to highlight that 5th house is romance, it's dating. And so for some of you, it can be very aligned around wanting to put yourself out there, wanting to be more flirty and more bold around going up and, hitting on someone if you think they're hot, or going out more often, partying more. Like 5th house is a very fun house. So for some of you, it just feels like you've been getting very, very somber. And this 5th house is like, wait, I only live once. I need to have a little fun. Whether that fun is felt in dating, In your hobbies, very aligned with this lunation around planting the seeds around, why do I not knit anymore? Why do I not rollerblade anymore? Very aligned new moon to plant the seeds of not only that hobby, so if like you do a vision board, like having a picture if you roller skating or having a picture of roller skates, but also anchoring into that energy that you feel, like how it is that you feel when you're knitting, how you just feel calmed and relaxed and birthing something out, how you feel when you're roller skating, free and excited and happy. It would be very aligned on the new moon to do something fun, to kind of plant those seeds around that energy you're trying to call in. So inspiring the sense of fun, whether it shows up on a trip, whether it shows up within your art, whether it shows up within your hobbies, whether it shows up within your dating life, whether it shows up within your inner child, connecting deeper to your inner child, reinvigorating that sense of joy and wonder and play. This lunation is calling for you to have a little bit more fun and be a little bit more playful and spontaneous. So if this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 6th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Cancer rising, but not always. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, so this is a new moon to be able to find an optimism and a sense of meaning as it relates to your day-to-day, okay? Because 6th house is service. And maybe some of you have been getting so bogged down in the details, all of the emails, all of the tasks, that you're not seeing the forest in the trees. You're so bogged down in the details, you're forgetting to reorient to the big picture. Like, yes, to a micro level, you are sending emails. To a micro level at your job, you are doing these little tasks. But this is an illumination around how can I remind myself of the big picture? Maybe you're not super pleased with your work right now. This illumination is around, but keep in mind you're getting the needed experience to jump to this, or you're being able to save for your trip abroad. Like, this is the energy around remembering your why it is that you do the things in your day-to-day. I do want to highlight, if you are not satisfied with your job right now, my love, this is a very aligned new moon to call in new employment, okay? New employment for yourself if you want, or just to reorient yourself to the big picture around what this job is teaching you, how this job is getting you to where it is that you want to go, and being reminded of that. So maybe on this new moon, you know, you get so bored at work, but you have a little picture of, you know, picture of Bali on your desk. So you can remind yourself every day you get there, you're like, every day I'm here, I'm saving a little bit more to Bali. Or you have a picture of like you showing up as a nurse. As you get ready to go to work as an EMT, you are reminded around what it is that you are working towards within your role. I want you to remember how all of these little details are contributing to your big picture, because oftentimes we can lose sight of that. And 6th house is also our health, my love. So for some of you, if you've been struggling with your health, this is a very aligned time to plant the seeds around seeing yourself in optimal health. And really, if you are really calling this in with this lunation, seeing yourself in optimal health, what does that look like? Because oftentimes we just think health and there's not a huge energy around it. I want you to see, like, if you've been really struggling with like lower back pain, I want you to see yourself playing basketball, like the activities you used to do before you had lower back pain, or, you know, seeing yourself do the things around. That's what health would look like. That's what health would feel like. That's what you should be anchoring into during this lunation. 6th house is also people that we hire. So for some of you, if you've been manifesting an assistant or someone to help you with your business, very aligned. 6th house is coworkers. So if you've been manifesting improved relationships with your coworkers, very supportive there. Better relationships with the people that you hire, as well as Sagittarius is a very motivating energy. So if you wanted to plant the seeds around really being able to motivate your employees, this can be very supportive. Some of you, 6th house is small animals. So there can be an energy around inviting in a new little kitty cat or a little dog into your world. Or maybe just planting the seeds around spending more time with your pets. Like 6th house is our day-to-day, it's our routine. So like the Sagittarius new moon asks you, are there times and pockets within your day-to-day, within your routine, that you are giving yourself adventure and fun and spontaneity and happiness also? Like if you know you love going to the dog park, but it always just gets bogged down with all the other things that you need to do, this lunation is asking you to make the time for it daily. Like it's an interesting juxtaposition because it's like 6th house is daily routine, and Sagittarius is very like adventurous and spontaneous, but maybe it's like creating more pockets of time for you to invite in adventure and spontaneity. Like maybe if you're always all work and no play, maybe this lunation where it's like, no, I can't help you this weekend. Like I need to go for a hike. I need to be able to inspire this sense of adventure around positive new things to come my way. If this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Gemini rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, love, so for you, this is a new start around connection and partnerships, okay? And so for some of you, if you are single, let's just call it how it is. It's a really aligned new moon to be able to call in your dream partner. And being less specific around, I want them to look like this. I want them to have this job. I want them to have this name. Like, I'm not a big fan of using manifestation to attract particular people, but I want you to root down these ideas around how your ideal partner, how the connection would feel, right? I want you to call in the spirit of adventure with your partner, like calling in the sort of partner who makes every day feel exciting, who makes you want to just do things just because you have someone by your side, right? Like with this lunation, I want you to plant the seeds around inviting in that person. Like, what would you want to do with your ideal partner? Like, would you want to hike together on this new moon? Go for a hike. Would you want to go to fancy restaurants? Maybe on this new moon, take yourself to fancy restaurants. Get yourself in the energy of what you would want to do with your partner and the sort of feelings that you would feel by that person's side. Like, will it be someone who is bold and always takes you to different parties? Maybe you can call in that energy for yourself right now. Like, a lot of times when we talk to 7th house lunations, it's like, yes, it is aligned around calling someone in, but it's like we attract the energy that we are embodying, right? So if you want this adventurous, spontaneous partner, play with being a little bit more adventurous, play with being a little bit more spontaneous, put yourself in the pathway and in the vibration to attract that person to you. And if you are in a partnership, this is a really aligned time to plant the seeds around being more optimistic about the partnership. So maybe you and your partner have been together for a while and you guys have forgotten to dream about the connection itself and dream about what would be possible within the connection, what's possible for the two of you, right? Maybe the two of you get so bogged down within every day, you forget to dream about where do you want to travel, what could be possible. Like, this is a very aligned lunation to dream about what could be, where you guys want to travel, where you guys want to adventure towards, as well as outside of just traveling. I keep highlighting that just because Sagittarius is the archetype of the traveler, the philosopher, but also just being able to fuel and feed within your connection currently, this energy around optimism, around expecting good things within the connection, around looking towards the future together with this growth-oriented, optimistic mind state. And for some of you, this would be very aligned around calling in a business partner, calling in more clients. When it comes to this lunation, your manifestations are the most effective if you focus on the who rather than the what. So let's say even if you want a new career opportunity, again, this isn't a very career-y house, but I will say envision the person you want to work for with a new moon in the 7th house if you want a new job. Let's say you want a new living situation. Think about your ideal landlord, right? Or your ideal roommate. Like, you are most magnetic at this time around opportunities that come your way via people. So see the person who's handing you that check. See that person handing you the contract. Like, manifest through the who rather than just the what. The Sagittarius new moon lands within the 8th house of your astrological natal chart. You may potentially be a Taurus rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, so this is a very aligned new start as it relates to any sort of support that we receive from others. Now, I feel that 8th house is the most deeply misunderstood. And the thing about 8th house is that it comes after 7th house because it's like 7th house is like the you and I. 8th house is the we. It's like what it is that we create when we fully merge with someone. So yes, this does speak to our partner's income. So for some of you, this would be very aligned to, put some energy towards boosting your partner's income. So like really envisioning your partner coming home being like, babe, I got a job, or I got this raise, like, oh my goodness, or my business is soaring. Like, it is very aligned around boosting your partner's income, thereby increasing your guys' shared revenue. So if you're married, very aligned for that. 8th house is also trust and like intimacy within our partner. As I highlighted, it's we. So maybe for some of you, maybe it's manifesting more of an income from your partner, or maybe it's manifesting more of a sense of trust and intimacy within your connection, really going deep within the connection, very supportive with the 8th house. But I also want to highlight with 8th house, it's any sort of support that comes to you from others, okay? And so for some of you, if you've been looking for a loan, very supportive. Plant the seeds for that. If you've been looking for someone to invest in your idea, very supportive. Plant the seeds for that. And this is also things like inheritances, alimony, child support. And when it comes to these realms, because it is money, it's like other people's money. When it comes to this, rather than, manifesting inheritance, which could, not work out how we want it to, right? I would really just anchor in this idea around unexpected money, finding you in unexpected ways, because 8th house is the we, right? It's merging. And it's also like us merging with the universe, like having this sense of trust, like just trusting the universe has got me, which again, with this delusional energy of Sagittarius is why Sagittarius is so lucky and things just work out, because they have this energy around the universe has got me. Good things just happen to me. I don't know, it just works out. So with this in the 8th house, it's less about manifesting money around, I work this job and I get this paycheck, and more around being open for money and support to reach us in a myriad of ways. Just being like, universe, I am open to unexpected flowing of money to me, and just being open. Like it could come through via like a rebate or like a random lawsuit that you were involved of, like just being open to receive and really anchoring in that gratitude when it shows up, like just observing, wow, I'm so abundant. They actually made an extra coffee and they gave me this free coffee. Like observing the universe wanting to give you things through these unexpected discounts, unexpected free stuff, unexpected money that you would have spent, and really celebrating it as it shows up. Like, wow, I'm so abundant. The universe is just pouring all of this abundance and love into me. And 8th house is also this kind of murky, risky house. So for some of you, if you've been trying to build like a passive income stream, like money that comes to you outside of you physically working for it, maybe some of you wanting to invest more. Yes, 8th house can be more risky, but it's a sort of energy around money and support that comes to you without you physically putting the effort towards, without it physically being so cut and dry. And if you do focus on kind of like money or money reaching you in unexpected ways, I really want you to tap into what that would feel like. Like I want you to tap into that vision. Maybe it's like you hiking, looking at your phone and being like, oh, I sold a digital product and $200 came in, or waking up in the morning and checking your phone and realizing, hey, I made $1,000 last night. Cool, while I was sleeping. Like I want you to tap into what would that abundance feel like? What would the universe supporting you in unexpected ways feel like? And magnetizing that towards you. So love, if this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be Aries rising, not always though. So listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. So love, there is a new start as it relates to travel, spirituality, and higher learning. The obvious of this is like literally Sagittarius new moon in your 9th house, my love. If you do not visualize on that dream trip you want to take, like I am not joking, like I want you to think of that thing that you're like, one day, like, if you've always daydreamed about backpacking through Europe, if you've always daydreamed about staying for 2 months in Australia, like I want you to think bigger the better. Dream as big as possible. Envision yourself on that trip of a lifetime. Put some energy towards it. Maybe a vision board, maybe like pitting stuff on Pinterest. See yourself on that trip and know that you are worthy of having that experience. Like I really want you to consciously put that energy, like with this energy of one day, what if it was day one? What if it was you starting to save for that trip? What if it was you starting to plan that trip? Like I want you to plant the seeds for it. There are other manifestations. For some of you, if you've been wanting to go back to school, getting your master's, getting your PhD, my love, this is so supercharged and supported for that. And again, think big, like don't limit yourself. Maybe you've been only applying to safety schools. My love, throw an Ivy League in there, throw Oxford in there, like who knows? Sagittarius dreams big, and big things don't happen to you unless you shoot your shot, right? So this is the time to shoot your shot academically. For some of you, if you're already in your program, this could be very aligned to plant the seeds around getting amazing marks or having this amazing resume at the end of your program, very aligned. So outside of schooling, outside of travel, let's say it's neither of you. You're like, I'm not really academic and I don't really want to travel. 9th house is also spirituality and higher learning. So this can be very supported around learning a new religion or a new form of spirituality that makes you feel connected with the big picture, because truly 9th house speaks to faith. And with Sagittarius new moon in the 9th house, it's asking you to attune to the big picture of your world. What grants you a sense of meaning? Again, maybe religion doesn't resonate, but maybe it's you planting the seeds around, I deeply want to learn more about astrology. That makes me feel connected to the whole of it, right? Or maybe it's planting the seeds around, I deeply want to learn about Buddhism. That's something that resonates with my soul. It's it's really about planting the seeds around what takes you out of the day-to-day. Like what takes you into that bigger sense around suddenly my life makes sense or has a sense of meaning. Like it's important to note that Sagittarius views life as a quest, with them getting closer and closer to the sense of meaning, the sense of their truth. And to find that, sometimes you have to adventure. That's why, it's a house of travel, but sometimes maybe it's planting the seeds around, I want to take more classes. I want to learn to pray more. I want to enrich more spirituality within my daily act of living. I want to have a sense of faith that guides me. I want to have a sense of morality that guides my everyday. I want to live my life with intentionality and meaning. Because it feels that for some of you, a lot of you who have this will likely have, North Node in the second house and Saturn in the 11th. A lot of your energy has been put towards more practical, materialistic perhaps, aims and means. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a season of life that you're in. But this new moon is saying, hey, maybe this area of our life is imbalanced. Maybe we want to be able to dedicate more energy towards what do we believe in? What are we here for? My love, if this Sagittarius new moon falls within the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Pisces ascendant, not always though. So make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. So for you, this is the time to dream big, think big, and shoot your aim high as it relates to your career. Okay, like this is the most fertile, the most optimistic new start as it relates to your career. And I want you to think bigger. I want you to plant the seeds of those desires that absolutely scare you. Like when you think about it, you're like, could I really be the CEO of a skincare brand? Or like, could I really be someone who's on the news every single night? You can. And it's like all of the people that you admire, that news anchor that you watch every single night, that CEO of that skincare brand that you use every day, their creations or their contributions came from the exact same substance that is in your brain right now. An idea, right? A desire. And we have to germinate it. We need to water it. It's going to take courage. It's going to take confidence. And with this new moon, it's going to take a little bit of being delusional, but this is the time to allow yourself to dream about it, okay? Allow yourself to dream about the ambition that you had that maybe other people tell you is unrealistic. Like, is it realistic to be a singer-songwriter? No, but we hear them all the time on the radio. Like it does happen in this world, and it starts with this ferocious, perhaps delusional belief in oneself that I want you to plant during this time. And with this new moon in Sagittarius within your 10th house, I want you to see yourself as that version. So I want you to see yourself as that leader, right? I want you to see yourself in that career. I want you to see yourself with that audience or with that social media presence, whatever it is that you want to make out there. This is the most public house of the zodiac. So really aligned to plant seeds around what it is that you want to be known for. Maybe for some of you, you're not working right now. This can be really aligned to plant the seeds around what do I want to be remembered as? What is like my legacy to the bigger picture? What do I want to be known as within my world? Maybe it's planting the seeds around the cool nonprofit that you want to build. Whatever it is, there is this desire to plant the seeds around your big picture, right? Your career, your reputation. This is the house of fame. So truly seeing yourself as this famous, successful individual. Obviously, it's going to take hard work. Obviously, it's going to take effort. But first, it takes the daringness to dream and the courage to try. So truly, whether it is creating a vision board of what your dream life would look like when you are this successful entrepreneur, or maybe it's printing out a picture of an Emmy and having it on your mirror so that you get ready every day. I want you to dream very big as it relates to your career. And let's say you're happy in your career path now. This is very aligned to manifest like the next promotion, like expansion, right? It is the Sagittarius new moon in the 10th house, how it is that you want to level up, or inspiring an element of optimism within work. So maybe being able to infuse energy of creativity or envisioning newness or boosting your leadership ability. For some of you, if you've been struggling with, relationships with your bosses, this can be very aligned around having a better connection with your boss or authority figure or anything of that nature. And for some of you, if you're in your own business, think expansion, think growth, think big. Maybe for some of you, you've been having new ideas. Again, at the time with Mars retrograde, not the time to like physically do them, but dream about them. Maybe you have a vitamin company now. What would it look like if you also followed your dream around adding like weights to it? Like I want you to dream big, think expansion. Whenever I think of, Sagittarius Sagittarius, at least partly in the 10th house, which you have if you have 1 degree Sagittarius in this area, I always think of these individuals like octopus with like little tentacles going in different directions, because these individuals, typically it's like they're not just known for one thing, or they at least have this visionary energy in how it is that they relate to the world, in that they're continually growing, they're continually looking for opportunities for expansion. They're typically not one niche, they typically inspire and grow in so many different ways. So I want you to play within that realm of possibility of what it is that you can be known for and what it is that you can contribute publicly. So love, if this Sagittarius new moon lands within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be an Aquarius ascendant, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, love, so a lot of you who have this will be Aquarius ascendants, obviously not all of you, but I wanted to highlight this because this lunation is very supportive as it relates to friendships, okay? And a lot of you, if you do have Aquarius placements, you know, it is this energy around the popular loner or feeling kind of on the outside or feeling weird or feeling different, right? And this lunation is about calling in the like-minded community of your dreams and thinking big. Like, what if my friend group could be individuals who are as passionate about sustainability as I am? Or what if my friend group were the individuals who want to travel all of the time and have new experiences and are optimistic about the future rather than, you know, the Debbie Downers that I'm surrounded by daily? Like, I want you to dream big when it relates to your community, whether you're an Aquarius ascendant or not. I just highlighted that because a lot of Aquarius energy typically has this energy of being on the outside looking in. And I always highlight this if I work with you and you have Aquarius placements. I'm like, the reason you felt left out is because in many ways, Aquarians are meant to be kind of the leaders who attract the fellow people who have felt on the outside or felt different than other people, right? So I want to highlight that with this new moon, it's very aligned to call in your aligned friend group, or the feeling that you want to feel within your community, or calling to you the like-minded souls who see the future similarly, who have similar values, who are honest with you. Like, Sagittarius is a very honest, blunt energy. So maybe it's like you have to get honest with yourself about the people you're surrounded by. Like, honestly, we're not moving in the same direction. Like, there are individuals who just want to, you know, party or like whatever, and I'm really feeling this call to expand in new ways. Like, I really want to be around people who are inspiring. This is a very aligned new moon to call in a new friendship group. If you feel really good about your connections, maybe this is the energy around calling in more time to spend with your friendships. And like I said with first house, this house is kind of funny because it's a little bit of a free spot. Like, if you play bingo, you get the middle spot free. And that 11th house is hopes and dreams. So it's like very ripe when it comes to manifestation. So even if you have intentions that are outside of just your friendships, even if it's outside of the community that you want to be surrounded by, it's very ripe and it's very fertile here. I do want to highlight though, 11th house is large audiences. So I really want you to manifest through people to a certain degree. So let's say if you want to be popping on the internet, visioning the ideal audience you would want to cultivate, the ideal numbers of the demographic, right? If you want to be, you know, a public speaker, really seeing yourself in front of a people, large audience, as well as staying fixated on impact or like big picture future, like the impact you want to leave, because 11th house governs like our personal future, but also humanity's future. So also anchoring manifestations, if you want to, you know, manifest something for the earth, my goodness, we need it. Your fellow humans on this planet, very aligned there, as well as just the ideals you want to root down, the future you want to build, whether it's personal, whether it's collective. I want you to plant the seeds for it. Also super aligned when it comes to magnetizing online audiences or any sort of large number of people. If the Sagittarius new moon on November 23rd falls within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Capricorn rising, not always though, so make sure to listen to the reading of where you have 1 degree Sagittarius. Okay, so your new start is a little bit murky and it's a little mysterious because it is in the hidden house, but it is powerful nonetheless. Many of you who have this are Capricorn risings, not all of you, but many, and you see the world very pragmatically and realistically, and this is a new start to be able to kind of like etch out the underlying monologue of your mind in order to view your life and yourself more positively, to expect good things to happen to you. Like 12th house is like the underlying script. It's like our subconscious processing. And this is a really aligned new moon to anchor in intentions such as, I expect the best. I wake up I wake up every day and I'm so joyful to be awake and alive. Like sometimes we're not physically there, but this is sort of new moon where it's asking you to like dig deep into your underlying script and really anchor in these new thoughts of optimism, expansion, and expecting good things to a deep level. I do want to highlight 12th house isn't always, bright and sunny. Like Sagittarius is a very bright, sunny, optimistic energy, but 12th house speaks to our healing journey. So maybe for some of you, you're having to get real or get honest with yourself when it comes to self-sabotaging or self-destructive behaviors. This Sagittarius new moon is calling for honesty. It's asking you to really look at yourself and look at your habits and look at what's really holding you back. Maybe you've been escaping from the healing that you know that you need to do via these habits, via these destructive tendencies. Some of you have been ignoring your intuition, and this is a lunation that's asking you to plant the seeds around connecting deeper to your intuition and furthermore trusting it, okay? Like furthermore trusting in those nudges and those instincts that come from within, right? Like Sagittarius is very much guided by this big picture belief in the sense of meaning, and with this new moon, it's asking for you to plant the seeds around maybe connecting deeper to modality, such as meditation or tarot cards or oracle cards, whatever helps you to tune in. This is a very aligned new start there. And it also feels that it's going to support your healing journey, truly, like having this bigger picture connection to something bigger, having this bigger picture connection to something more ethereal, something more divine. And it's not so much the mechanics of like what it is that you need to believe in, but furthermore, just having this bigger sense around, I'm part of something bigger than just myself, right? Like the energy of Sagittarius is about this quest around arriving to meaning, arriving to this big picture that gives a deeper sense of meaning throughout the practical, tangible actions that we take every day. And that can be helpful for our mental health to feel like something bigger has us, right? It doesn't need to be religion. Maybe it's a source of spirituality. Maybe it's even spending time in nature. Connecting to those moments of the divine is going to help your healing at this moment. This is also very aligned as it relates to being honest, as I highlighted on self-destructive habits, planting the seeds around starting to see yourself as someone who is not a smoker. Like I'm telling you, this is a delusional new moon. So it's like, even if you've been like a smoker, for 12 years and you're trying to get rid of it and you're like, there's no way, like this illumination where it's like being delusional around, yeah, I don't have to be a smoker. I can live without it. Like really planting the seeds of those habits, and particularly planting the seeds around what it is that you can use to escape, and choosing to escape in more constructive ways. As I highlighted, 12th house is self-undoing. So maybe for some of you, you've been being self-destructive in ways that are not good for you. This is about being, a bit of an escapist in ways that are good for you, like escaping into a forest for a hike, escaping into prayer, escaping into meditation, escaping into a good book, escaping into hobbies and activities that connect you to a sense of something bigger and ethereal without being destructive for your soul. Does that make sense? And also being able to develop this real deep connection to your intuition and your sense of faith in something bigger is very supportive here. And I also want to highlight, Sagittarius, we don't think of it this way, as many of you know, if you know anyone who has Sagittarius placements, they tend to be like life of the party, right? Very, bold and outgoing. But it's important to know that Sagittarius, it's the archetype of the traveler, the adventurer, and it's oftentimes depicted as solo. Like Sagittarians is about wandering off to find our own personal sense of truth. And 12th house is about solitude. So for some of you, you're being asked during this new moon to plant the seeds around getting more comfortable with your solitude, getting more comfortable saying, no guys, I can't party tonight. I need to stay home and take care of myself. And being able to devote deeper to our healing journey by not making alone time the enemy, like really inviting in these moments of stillness, because yes, quiet and silence can be scary, particularly if you've been running or escaping from things for a long time. But this new moon is asking you, what happens when you're still? What happens when you're quiet? Can you hear your intuition louder? Can you connect to your spirit louder? And that's what that new moon is asking you to do, because we can run and we can search and we can distract ourselves, but this new moon is asking you, let's be honest. Let's take a moment. Let's dive deep into our soul. Let's see what happens. Let's see what comes to the surface in solitude. So my love, this is such an optimistic new start as it relates to meaning, adventure, spontaneity. I'm so excited to hear what you are manifesting for your Sagittarius new moon. My love, my Instagram handle is @HaleyCommonAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.